fellas. Welcome to the PIXL podcast, episode 2, with Chris, Choco, and Old Mate. Old Mate,
Yeah,
take it away. Glenn.
Yeah, that's my name. Okay.
Just Glenn. That is your name.
Yeah. Don't make this any more awkward than it has to be, alright?
Oh,
Jeez.
look, we'll get used to it. We'll catch it. One day. One day we'll just start flying through them. Or it can just be our thing. We'll just be awkward every time we do an intro.
Yeah. Or, we can make it like somewhat official and then have it somewhat decent.
The better one, make the guest do it. Like, just get recorded and then we all sit there for a bit and be like, bro, you gonna introduce us or what?
Yeah. We should definitely do that. Just have everyone just like sit staring at their cameras for like who knows how long and just be like, so introduce us or
I'm just thinking like Jew-boy, dude. Jew-boy in the middle, just like we'll just sit here and be like, Jew-boy, bro, can you hurry up? Just watch him freak out.
who have no idea what's happening.
That'd be good.
I think most people would just be like, wait, what?
Yeah, people would watch it for about 5 seconds and be like, this is stupid. I'm gonna do it to someone.
100%. I'd be keen for that.
It'll be fun.
I mean, we're kind of losing the element of surprise by talking about it right now.
No, episode 50 will be fun.
Yeah, alright, fair enough.
All right. Anyway, what did it say this week? We are talking about Overwatch.
Overwatch, yeah.
Specific.
So, I got a few questions for you this time around. So, it's going to be mainly you speaking, hopefully.
Yeah, that's fine. Hopefully.
Don't let me interrupt.
Oh, please do.
I might end up doing that. I don't know, but we'll see how we go.
100% you will.
I don't know. Why don't we start with like how the Overwatch team is going at the moment for PIXL?
Going. Look, the table's probably not been in our favour too much. I think at the moment we haven't won a game in contenders. And if you check the ANZ spreadsheet in general, I think this season it's kind of turned out to be that we were just very happy to be there, very happy to get in. But I think we've definitely shown a lot of people that we're definitely not the worst team in there.
We're not pushovers.
100% not the best. 100% not the worst. Like, very clearly. That Avant game was that was tragic, to be honest. It wasn't the best start we wanted.
I mean, they had you playing as well.
Hey, man, oh my god. Contenders level player, obviously.
Plays one game, thinks he's a contenders level player.
Can't get into Diamond, boys. Oh, no.
Can't believe you put yourself as a sub.
Oh, thank God I did. I had 20 minutes to do it. Jesus. So yeah, that was a bit of a shamble, but it's whatever. I think even in that first game, there were moments of brilliance. Oasis game 1, took it to them completely. And that was just the start of our team realizing that they do deserve to be up here. It's kind of unfortunate how it all happened, obviously with the whole Interstellar thing, but and even Surge being kicked out, that's they had some good players and they're a good org. They treat their players well, but it's that sucks. But at the same time, it's not gonna say I didn't think we deserved it. At the same time,
we did. All the players definitely worked very hard.
100%. When we picked this team up, it was I'm pretty sure they were screaming 4 hours a week, maybe 6 if they're lucky. And it's I looked at that and my jaw just dropped and be and you want to get in contenders, you need to minimum 12 to 14 as a minimum. And that's 2 hours, 6 days a week with preferably VOD reviews on top of that. So that was a big shock to them. I remember Xeris even saying, I feel like I'm in some kind of esports school.
Yeah.
And so it was a massive change up for them.
I mean, that's kind of how it has to be as well. Sometimes you get to that kind of level and you need to be putting in there.
Look, that was just to scrape into contenders at the end of the day. Yeah. Scrape in. With not one of them. I think some of their players, Nathan, when I got there, was diamond at the time. Bad was on the bench. Wheel, I think, was keeping mid to low masters, and they're going up against high master jam players. It's it's very difficult for them to turn around and be I want to be in contenders and with those kind of level of players.
Yeah.
So it's like, and not like, again, not that don't deserve to be there. They worked hard, did what they could, battled internet and everything else, and got there. G-Boy battled his mum. But we got there in the end. Poor, like the kid's like 15. He's got stuff to do, but I think we handled it really me and G-Boy handled it really well, and his mum took it really well, and we kind of all got on the same page eventually. But the first week or two was pretty rough.
Yeah, definitely made some progress with it.
After we told her he had to be on the computer for 12 hours a week, like sounds like a lot.
Sounds like
Even
a
though
lot, but
it's
it's not really.
Really?
It's
Yeah,
like
it's not.
a little more than an hour a day,
But to your mum at 15, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That could be used for study, which is fair enough. So I think we've come a really long way from where we started. 100%. Like, basically, we scraped into trials, beating Bellapock, I think 3-2, and that was like they had some good players as well. Like, they knocked us out originally in the playoffs of Open Div.
Yeah.
So one, we're lucky. Like, pretty much every time we get comes down to crunch, we kind of make it. So like coming down to the crunch, open Div playoffs to trials, like literally fourth. Coming from trials to contenders was like came down to the very last game, and then obviously we lost at 4-0.
Yeah.
Went to Blizzard. Wasn't 100% sure it was all done correctly. Turned out we were correct. All that's done and dusted. Whatever, it's happened. We've moved past it. Came third in that, thanks to like map score basically. And I think now that we're here again, we haven't won a game, but we took MGC to map 5, Avanza right off. We took a map off Kanga, had a super close one against them on Kings Row, and then unfortunately we fell off a little bit for maps 3 and 4, but that stuff comes with experience. I mean, it's not a long season. Like, I think that's really good because it gives a lot of people the chance to get in. It's also kind of annoying because once you've lost 2-3 games, it's very hard to come back.
Yeah.
Because there's only 5 games a season, and then you go straight into like playoffs and LAN and stuff like that, which is kind of the Blizzard way. Everything's really short, sharp with them.
Yeah.
Which is good, but I think progress-wise, we've made huge strides. Huge strides. I don't think anyone ever thought we'd do any good. Actually, I remember watching the Overtime podcast, and literally someone on there, don't know who it was, might have been Swilko from MGC, possibly, basically called us trash and the worst team in contenders. And that was like, oh man, like that low key gave me the shits.
Yeah, blood boiling after that.
I was kind of annoyed we didn't beat them. I was kind of annoyed, but at the same time, it's like, at least it showed everyone, like, the amount of DMs and stuff everyone got after that game was like, how did you take 2 maps off MGC? Like, What in the world happened? What have you guys been drinking? It's in the water over there. So
It just goes to show, like, hard work. Like, it definitely pays off.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And it's like honestly, and I think you agree as well, like, we're both super proud of all the boys that kind of turned up, day in, day out. Like, they've all done super, super good stuff. And even just like letting us like having them play under our like PIXL logo and PIXL brand was the biggest favor like we could kind of ever ask for. Like, we traded coaching and support and stuff like that, but realistically, it's like originally it was a big favor.
Yeah, no, you're right. Definitely was.
I think we were lucky we kind of put faith in the right guys that really wanted to be there. So, super proud of them. Right. Super happy with everything. Unfortunate we didn't take some maps, but super happy with them.
Yeah, that's alright though. It's all like a learning experience as well. At the end of the day, you get better from everything.
No one imploded, which was really good. We basically kept our team from start to finish, with obviously the exception of Aki, who we couldn't take for the first game.
Yep.
But was, pretty much solid throughout the entire time. In fact, no teams really exploded this season. like last time I was involved in it. So that was really good as well.
So
And,
what? No, keep going. What were you gonna say?
oh no, I didn't have anything to say.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I was just gonna say. So, like, what's it looking like at the moment? For the team, do you think like they'll scrape in, or do you think they'll be most likely dropping down into trials again?
So we're in a difficult situation. So we've still got Darksided to play on Tuesday. And we'll see. We'll pretty much see how that goes for the guys. But I think, look, that's going to be a big task. That's a real big ask. It's the team that they're pretty much ranked second in OC at the moment.
Yeah.
With the exception of Drop Bears. And look, I don't think they're better than Drop Bears. I think Drop Bears are phenomenally strong at the moment. Darksided, same thing, stupidly strong. I just think Drop Bears at the moment have a little bit more power to them. But it'll be very difficult for us to beat them, I think. And if we don't beat them, then we're mathematically, I think we drop down, regardless of what happens after that. There's no combination of shit to happen that keeps us in that top four of the group kind of thing. Which is okay. Like, look, if it happens, it happens. We've had a team meeting about it. We've pretty much declared to each other and to everyone else that it's like, we don't ever want to be that team that people think is a free 4-0 ever again. Even to the point of like us saying, it's like, look, if we're going to be in this league, we may as well shoot for like the number one spot and not just like stay out of relegation. Like, we shouldn't let anyone else tell us that, and really come back pretty much after the season ends. If that's the way that it goes down, that's what happens. And if we just come back, get through trials, make sure we win that, put a statement out there kind of thing. Or if, like, realistically,
I mean,
I want to dominate that if that's what happens.
Yeah. Well, like before, like especially when we first got the team as well, like you didn't have like a lot of time with them, hey. So,
I think week 1 was playoffs for Overwatch. Actually, no, 2 days before Overwatch, before Open Division happened is when I started helping.
Yeah. And then from
and then
there
a week after
to
trials,
and then like getting into contenders, like there wasn't like a lot of time spent with them. Like, to be fair,
No,
like if you're talking about like a team you want to be able to like participate into like contenders, like a few weeks isn't exactly a lot of time.
No, it's like, realistically, we've been together now like maybe 10 weeks total, just over 2 months, maybe. Yeah, I think just over 2 months. And to be honest, like you look at those top teams, like they've been together 2 seasons, 3 seasons. They were top tier teams before, like, contenders came into it, or at least top tier players.
Yep.
Like, I mean, I've only been around since contenders season 1 anyway, so I don't know 100%, but from what I understand, it's like, I mean, that's a big thing, is like they've established themselves as top tier teams as it is, and it's like, I don't see this season being much different, really, to last season in terms of like how it all runs down.
Yep.
But we'll see kind of what happens. So I think as long as we can keep most of the players together, in terms of like, I'm hoping people don't get too poached, or they don't, people want to come back next season, things like that. If not, we'll deal with it. Things happen, but we're 100% stepping it up next season, and like the team already knows that.
So
like, we're going for it.
So just say from the time like now, or like up until like the very last game of contenders, how much time do you have from then till maybe like the start of contenders trials next, like the next contenders trials or contenders?
Yeah.
How much time do you have in between?
Oh god, no idea. I don't think they've even announced Open Division Season 3 yet, so
Okay.
I mean, I know people are gearing up for it, because I'm now like there's lots of team captains and managers coming out of the woodworks,
Yep.
asking for scrims that would never have asked beforehand. And,
Yep.
like they're starting to like, I think the top tier teams for OpenDiv are starting to gear up. The lower tier teams I don't think have even formed. Like the spreadsheet's looking kind of bearish at the moment. Like there's not a lot there.
So
But
essentially,
they come
like,
out.
yeah, or, like essentially, you'd have way more time,
Yeah.
to spend going through refining like certain aspects of like the team's gameplay and all that sort of stuff. Way more time
100%.
than what you had before.
Like, I mean, probably what's going to end up happening is we're going to be practicing on like a live patch, and then by the time contenders comes back around or trials, it's going to be a completely different patch altogether. With like maybe a different meta or like things like we'll probably have to change up the playstyle again.
Yeah.
Which is alright. It's all like that. These things happen. It's never too drastic at Blizzard. So.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's really good.
Something I wanted to ask as well. So, like, what's your opinion on the state of just competitive play in general?
Competitive, like matchmaking.
No, just like like team comps, and like, are you a fan of the just say like the meta that's currently
Oh wait, right? Like as
like,
in like contenders level play and like team play and
yeah,
stuff.
like, well, yeah, like not only that, but like high level competitive play, like that's pretty much you're playing the same kind of team comps as
Yeah.
Contenders, like people in Contenders, and Overwatch League and all that sort of stuff. Like is
Yeah.
like, do you think it's a healthy kind of stage at the moment, or do you think it needs to change, or?
I think it's like it's fresh at the moment because as far back as I know, like it's pretty much just been dive.
Yeah.
Like dive with a little bit of a change, and look, that hasn't gone away completely. Like there are still maps where it's like, you should probably just run the Winston, and the Diva. But now that I'm seeing things come out, especially like in scrims and even in, I think I've seen it in like a contenders game once or twice where they're running like Orisa Hog Diva on Volskaya, or just Orisa Hog, or I'm seeing triple DPS come out all the time. Like there's a lot more creativity coming out, variety, yeah, creativity, variety. There's a meta, but there's not like you can still abuse people's lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
Like, like goats, bringing out goats was like, everyone thought, oh, all anyone's going to do is just bring out goats for contenders from now on. And realistically, it's like it barely comes out because either people can't run it properly because they don't really fully understand what you're supposed to be doing. Unless you're Philadelphia Fusion the other day, who just like crushed someone with it on Archenwald, like literally in their spawn.
Yeah.
Some people try to run it against us. I think when it first came out, we had a lot of talks about I did a lot of research on trying to figure out what to do. At one point, I just put an Ana on the field. That seemed to work well enough until people started looking for nades. So it's like you can put things in there that change it up. Now we just run Pharah, and then G-Boy gets his ult every 10 seconds, and they don't have anything to counter that. You know what I mean? The Diva can only hold DM up for so long, so there's lots of things. I think there's a lot of lots of little metas now that you can kind of, it's almost like a rock paper scissors type thing.
Yeah, I don't think that's such a bad thing as well. I think that's quite good. At least not every single team is running exactly the same thing like every single game.
Oh yeah, I mean except 2CP did. Oh my god, 2CP is terrible.
Is that a specific type of meta?
Well, the thing is, like, you can come out. Well, it's the same thing. It's like you might run full dive, and they'll just send a DPS to go change to Brig. So then you lose that fight. Then you come back and you change Pharah. By the time you even get there, they send the Brig back to change to McCree. And it's like you can't, like, it's just very difficult to get around that.
Yeah.
And I think this is probably more of a team specific thing for us. We get stuck in like that rosy. And like we just go round in circles with whoever's on defense. So like I forget who. Might have been scrims. Someone did it to us in scrims and just held us there for like we had like 7 minutes or 6 minutes or something to attack point two on a nudist,
Mm.
and for like 6 minutes their DPS just changed who they were playing like 10 to 20 times. It was disgusting to watch. Like I've deleted that VOD, that's for sure. But like so. I think it's in a really fresh place still. I think, look, it's been around for maybe a month or two now,
Yep.
and people are still figuring it out. I don't think anyone has a proper meta yet. Even like NYXL, I think they're still running dive. I don't think they've even changed anything. I think they still think dive is what they should be doing. I mean, I haven't watched the most recent Philadelphia NYXL game, but from what I understand, they got completely dominated.
Mm.
And they were like the strongest team all season. Like they're number one seed. They should be in the grand final. They got obliterated, from what I understand. But I got to watch that. So I think it's just in this really new place that no one, like everyone, kind of is like copying each other a little bit. There's a little bit of creativity here and there. There's not a lot of like, we just have to run full dive. There's not. You don't have that anymore, because you have to actually react to what they've got. So it's different. It's different. I think it's, give it 3 or 4 more months, and people have it kind of more figured out and understand it a bit better, and then you'll start seeing some good players again.
Okay.
People will find their legs.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to put it.
I mean that being said, I guess there's something else like I wanted to talk about as well. So some people may or may not be up to date with this. Like I showed you the video not too long ago as well, of Double Lift. He's a LCS player, League of Legends in NA. Talking about the downsides of a constantly evolving game, and
like with patches and stuff.
Yeah, with with patches, how frequently the patches come out, how big they are, how they constantly change the meta, new champions and characters and all that sort of stuff being introduced constantly as well, and how that affects competitive play, casual play, along with like even keeping audiences interested and all that sort of stuff. But I actually think that like he was specifically talking about League of Legends at the time, but he definitely referenced other games as well, like StarCraft, and I think he also referenced Fortnite as another game that constantly updates and brings out new content all the time. So I think it does relate to just about every single game, every single competitive game as well. New updates completely change how you play, and whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. Sure, it keeps the games fresh and exciting. At the same time, something you've tried to master for who knows how long. If you're if you're a diva main or something, you've mastered that champion, and then they've completely
like
changed
one
it.
tricks and
They've completely changed that character to better fit in with the meta, or to be slightly more like mechanical, or
change the meta or whatever.
Whatever they decide to, their reason is for changing it. It kind of changes how people want to play the game. They've spent all this time learning one way to play the game, and then it's just changed within 2 to 4 to 6 weeks, or it's I think that kind of relates to Overwatch as well. I just wanted your thoughts on, like, do you think that's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing?
Okay.
Do you think do you think something like that would keep casual players in, or
So it's like
Or
the argument of like, are they over patching or under patching and
yeah,
changing too much stuff? And
yeah. And for anyone that
yeah,
wants to go watch that video as well, we can leave a link in the description as well because it's actually a really good piece of content.
yeah,
One
it is.
one
It
of the
explains
best,
it really well.
yeah, it's one of the best gaming pieces of content that I've seen in ages, like
Mm.
it hands down. Um, but yeah, I
It's
just
just,
wanted your thoughts and see if we can talk a little bit about it.
yeah, for sure. I think with Blizzard and Overwatch in particular, uh, look, I don't think it's ever really over or under patched. I think Blizzard's biggest issue is they'll put something out on the PTR and no one wants to play PTR because they can't be bothered. They just want to jump on and have a game of Overwatch kind of thing. The pros generally, unless they bring out a new hero, you never like. I don't know anyone personally. I don't know anyone that'll jump on the PTR and try out the new Orisa buff, which is already out. But like back when it was in patch notes, or even like May, I think she's not going to have any fall off damage on her icicles now. Um, which again, I don't think anyone's picked up the PTR to go test that too often, if many. And so it's like, regardless of what happens, Blizzard releases it, and then it's like it's only once it's out and live for a little while do people start and they really start getting the complaints. Will they change it in any way, shape, or form? So I think that's Blizzard's biggest issue in terms of like actually over or under patching. I mean, look, we've had the dive meta for like 2 years, a year and a half kind of thing.
Mm.
So I don't think they have any issues there too much in terms of like I don't think they really want to change the meta to a way that they want it. Except for maybe with the addition of Brigitte. I think they got bored of dive and that's why they put her out. That's the only like real explanation where they said that it will change the meta.
Yep.
But even like in terms of one tricks and things like that, like some like look at a pro level for League, the way that Double Lift put it was like they change it so often that there's no way for you to keep up with the other people unless you're going to grind it out for 12 hours a day in actual scrims. Whereas Overwatch is a little bit different because normally in a higher tier game, obviously you've got ones where you know people do whatever they want and you get a Symmetra one trick, like things happen. But normal high tier games, people will normally try and copy like a standard. Like standards kind of evolve, and like at the moment it's like, or for a while it was like double sniper Ryan Zaya. It's like people will adopt it; they'll just do that. So you kind of, regardless of whether you're playing scrims, matchmaking, the gist is still there, kind of thing. So I think you can do that a little bit, but I don't think it's. Look, I mean, I'm not a developer. I just kind of have to toughen up and sort it out. But I don't think there's like over buffing or anything like that. Like, there's never really any major changes that explode every 2 weeks, kind of thing.
Yeah. Do you think any of these changes, just say like if there was a big change, do you think any of these changes would alienate some of the pro players or maybe even alienate some of the casual players that only come in and play it, not too often. They come back and realize that they're playing a completely different game, almost.
Yeah, I get you. I got there's an example. I forget. I think it was like an NA player.
I don't think Blizzard have changed the game like that much. Like I stopped playing Overwatch for almost a year and came back, and it was pretty similar. Like I could still come back and play like a fairly high level, not nowhere near as high as I used to, but like I still feel like it was somewhat the same. Back in my day. But
no. Yeah, so like the Mercy changes, like big example is like when the Mercy mains all died out for about 2 weeks, because they changed the double res from instance to just normal. And like the biggest example I have of that, or the most popular one that I can think of, was like a game. I think his name was just Mercy A and Mercy B, Mercy C. Like I think that's what he was on the leaderboards, and all he did was play Mercy. That was literally it. And they, like, when the changes came out, he checked out on PTR, released a video of him just completely raging his head off. And I've never seen a video of his again. Like nothing's popped up on my feed. I don't search for him, but I don't notice him in those sort of top 50 kind of thing in NA anymore. So I assume he's just not playing the game. That's probably an example of like someone who just didn't agree with the changes, and that's just unfortunate. But two, it was like he had clearly put in a lot of work for Mercy, and they changed it relatively quickly to what we're used to, I guess, in Overwatch.
Yeah.
Like reworks happen very rarely, and when they do, everyone hates it regardless of what it is. Normally, like Symmetra, no one likes a Symmetra rework, but no one wants it to go back either.
Well, they've kind of changed Symmetra a couple times now, haven't they? Added shield gen.
Oh yeah, I suppose. That's going way back though.
Yeah, but still, that's
in my head. It is.
Yeah.
Look, I think Blizzard does a fine job. At the same time, I'm not like I don't have play. We don't scrim 8 hours a day against the NA teams like the Philadelphia Fusion and YXL. We don't get to look at that. We don't get to look at that. So I think from my perspective, where coaches in our region and probably in some other regions as well don't have as much time to work these things out as like they do.
Yeah.
We have to start somewhere, and I think often looking at other regions really gives you a good idea of what's happening, and then you can start making your own plans based on that and understanding why they're doing things, and then you can make like amendments. But I just think in our region it's like it's probably just, and this goes to like the whole, esports isn't as big as it should be.
Yep.
But yeah, just like I don't think I think Blizzard does an okay job at patching. I think some of the patches are questionable, like the actual changes. But other than that, there's not huge. Like they only release 3 or 4 new champions a year. And you kind of look at them and they've never been meta breaking, except for maybe Brigitte. Like Sombra was out for almost a year before she was good enough to actually be used in pro play and contenders level play. And I mean, you saw that with like Biller on Sydney Drop Bears, just crush face from the beginning.
Yeah.
On that champion, on that hero, and it was like it was dominating. They beat everyone with it. And yeah, they saw it. They picked it up early. They made that change really early. And they made sure Biller could play that at a really high standard, even if he'd never played it before. But I mean, wasn't meta breaking. You still play dive into it. So, like, I think Overwatch in general is sometimes slower to adapt in the way that like patches work. Like little changes don't really phase us because they're never enough to change like everything.
Yeah. Whereas
games like League of Legends, even Fortnite, to be honest, they don't do little changes a lot of the time.
Usually big changes almost every week or every 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, exactly right. It's like we're removing this item. We're bringing this item back. C4 is going to be this much radius now. By the way, it can explode a building. Yeah. Like, there's not that kind of stuff. That doesn't, like, it's not like they go, Reinhardt's not being used enough. His shield's now 4,000.
Yeah.
It's like, that doesn't happen. Or even, like, the Orisa buff. That happened is, like, and like, it happened a little while ago. It's like, they admitted the ult isn't being used enough. So we're going to reduce it by 15%. Like the ult charge. And realistically, you still don't see it too often. I think, again, look, she's coming out more and more, but she's not the meta.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like Junkertown and Rialto sometimes. And I don't know, I think there's one more. But it's not like they're spamming her out on every single map.
Yeah.
just doesn't happen. So I think there's clear concern if there. It's like, are you doing too much or something? Are you doing too little or something? Or have you found like a good mid ground? And I think Blizzard generally has a good grasp on that, and that's across most of their games.
Okay.
Maybe not World of Warcraft, but I don't play that. It's gone too far.
Yeah. Well, I feel like they are like fairly conservative with their patches. Like if they were to, like if they thought Reinhardt's shield was like too weak, then they'd buff it by like, I don't know, 200 shield or something.
Yeah.
Instead of like, doubling it or something ridiculous like that.
And that's just them as a company, dude. Like, at the end of the day, it's like you look at their games, they have like 6 games out in total.
Yeah.
Two of them are just like using their other games to like actually work. Like Hearthstone and Heroes of the Storm. It's like they're just like, yeah, they're their own games, but it's still using other brands to like make that work. So I think they're just a conservative company.
Yeah.
And the moment they don't think a game's working, they just scrap it. Like, like Vikings is no longer, you can't. It's not like it's on the Blizzard app.
Yeah.
I think you can still get it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, I get you.
And even Activision, like they got like a shitload of games, and yet Blizzard's only really let them put two games on their app, kind of thing.
Which is what, Destiny and the new Black Ops that's coming out?
Yeah, the new COD. But I think Destiny's probably going to be removed at some point, like probably. Once it's done and out, because that's that like they don't. I just don't think they want to. Like, I mean, I'm speculating, obviously.
Yeah. And
gone way off target again.
Well, let's be honest. Destiny is a trash game.
Oh no!
I'll come out. I'll say it. Great mechanics, but God, is it bad?
It's not. I mean, yeah. Look, I can't. I stopped playing it ages ago. I did not go back to the expansion. So I even bought it too. Like, I didn't get. I don't know, man. It was like it opens up so well in the first like 20 levels.
Nothing
Just
will ever beat Destiny 1's Vault of Glass. Okay.
Sorry, what? Vault of Glass. Actually, Vault of Glass was good. What was his name? Atheon? Just knocking him off the edge with grenades.
I mean, but even still, like, before anyone knew how to do that, it was like everyone took it seriously, and it took like weeks before anyone could actually beat it. I think it was
days.
Was it?
Like a day and a half or something?
I don't think so. I think it was longer than that. People weren't getting enough for it as well.
For the normal?
Yeah. I don't think so. I mean, we can double check it.
I'm pretty sure I beat it within like the first week with like not like randoms, but like with people. The hardest part was like, I just remember the maze taking everyone so long. And then once someone beat it, once you knew the mechanics, it was fine.
I thought like no one. Didn't we beat it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. We beat it
on the first, like not the first day, but like.
It's gonna be alright.
I can't even remember now.
It's okay. It was a long time ago. We need to let it go.
Yeah. Great raid though.
But yeah, that was a good raid. I don't know. It was just exciting. I think it was just more exciting.
Yeah. All right. Let's go back to what we're talking about.
To the normal things.
Yeah. So pretty much, do you think that Blizzard, underpatching or they're not overpatching? They're just not. But do you think how they're patching at the moment, making small changes at a time, keeps the game too stale, or do you think it's good for pro players so they don't have to spend as much time perfecting certain aspects of the game? Maybe that way they can stream more, or or do you think it alienates like audiences as well? Like, it's too stale for some casual players to come back in, and
I think that argument of like, could they put out more content if the patches were like fewer between, or wait, fewer between, more like if there was less patches further spaced out.
Yeah.
I think that argument's like, I don't want to say trash, but it's not. I think it's completely valid either. Like if you could scrim 12 hours a day, and then if you had 12 hours a day to scrim, right? And the meta didn't change for 3 months, and then you instead of scrimming 12 hours a day, you scrim 6 hours a day because you already know the meta.
Yeah.
But then the team below you is scrimming, 8 hours a day. You're not going to look at that and be like, oh, they're working a little bit harder, but it's fine. The meta's the same.
Then you've also got to think though, like, where does it stop? If that's the case, if people are going to be screaming 12 hours a day, who's stopping like another team from screaming 13? And then everyone's like, oh well, they're screaming 13, we should go 14. Like,
oh, then it'll get to a point where it's just unhealthy.
Yeah,
obviously.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I think like almost 12 hours a day of screaming is almost unhealthy because that requires a certain amount of focus to a point where eventually it's almost kind of pointless. There's only so much you can take in like one day until it starts getting less worth it, I guess.
So to put that in perspective, you've got to remember, like, these people don't build up to this level.
Yeah, true.
And a good example of that is like even our team. So we tried our hand at our first 4-hour scrim like a week, maybe 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
And the first 2 hours were generally okay. They weren't the best, but they were okay. And then we got into our second block of scrims, our next 2 hours against MGC. And Smeeves and Coach Bryce, by the way, were extremely helpful in that, in sort of guiding me correctly, because I've not done that before. I just know that I want my players to work as hard as as hard or harder than them.
Yep.
Because we want to win at the end of the day, and we don't want to be slammed. But that second block was terrible. We were crushed in every map. Our comms were terrible. Our gameplay was terrible. The emotions started to run high. People didn't really want to be there. Like I for the first time, someone was like, "How much longer do we have left?"
Which is
and that's simply because I wanted to cancel, but I didn't want to cancel on the other 6 players that had turned up for their night. So we kind of said about an hour and a half into it, look, we're not going to cancel because we promised these guys 2 hours. We're going to give them 2 hours. But at the same time, we've got to do our best. We've got to keep going forward. This is just a blockade. And it was. And talking to Smeeves and talking to Coach Bryce, I asking them for advice, like, how do your players go? Because I know they scrim 4 hours a day, pretty much every day. Obviously, they have a couple of days off, or a day off, I'm sure. And they said, look, they're fine with it. They've been doing it since before contenders. There's no issue. But they did suggest to me that I start with a hard team and then go to easier. And I build them into it, kind of thing. I don't just say, here's 4 hours every day.
Yep.
I say, here's a 2-hour scrim, here's a 4, here's a 2, here's a 4. And the second half of those 4s, pick an open div team. If that's still too hard, pick a low tier open div team. And build that mental fortitude. Because that's all it is. It's not like they lose skill. And this is going to be the same thing with like pro players in NA and people that have all day to do this and get paid good money to do it. Is there's an opponent who's working, they're working this hard, and if you're not better than them and you're working this hard, you're never going to catch them. So you need to work this hard if you want to catch them. And they're going to be like, oh, they're working harder. Now I've got to work harder. But there's going to be a point where it's like, you can't work that hard for that long,
Hmm.
and then you got to start injuring yourself. Not physically, but you're gonna have a mental breakdown. You're gonna not sleep when you're gonna lose the your legs because you won't be able to walk to the fridge and back. Like, that's extreme examples, obviously. Like, I don't really mean that, but you can't grind out for 24 hours.
Yeah. Well,
But if that was possible, there'd be people that would be willing to be paid to do that
see,
and work that hard as long as it got results.
like I don't think it's out of the realm of like impossibility, like
What do you mean?
like
Wasn't that what you were saying though? Like,
yeah,
it's
but like
unhealthy.
it is unhealthy, and it's like what I'm saying is it's possible. It's like possible to do, to scrim for 18 hours a day, sleep for 6 hours, like it's possible to do. And but how healthy is that? And
Yeah.
of course there's going to be diminishing returns as well. The start of the day, the start of your scrimming session is always going to be the best, and the longer it goes on, the worse and worse and worse it's going to get, and that's just normal. It's natural. So you got to find a point. Well, if people were scrimming for 12 hours a day, regardless of like mental fortitude or not, like it does get to a point where it's like, all right, one team screaming for 12 hours a day, another team screaming for 14. Like, are those 2 extra hours and trying to get your players well enough for those 2 extra hours going to make enough difference? Like, are they better off, relaxing while still playing the game, going into like, competitive and playing for 2 hours and competitive in a more relaxed kind of environment, still working on their skills and stuff, obviously, like, they're still playing the game. Would that be a bigger benefit to them than screwing for those 2 hours instead?
I mean, potentially. I mean, obviously, I'm no doctor. I'm no esports therapist. I'm sure people have already sort of figured out the optimal time frame is like 12 hours and 45 minutes, or 11 and 20, and whatever it may be. They would already have had that figured out. But at the same time, if you're going to go, if your argument is that they're not going to play well enough at that point, then they go back into a relaxed environment and they play competitive, and they're still shitting on everyone and keeping that level, rank 1, rank 2 kind of challenger level on League of Legends or even on Overwatch, it's like, well, the 12 hours of scrims is probably doing something for them. And the best players in our region, particularly, especially in Overwatch, like you've got the ones that come to my mind in particular lately are Merit and Color Hex, and I mean those two I would put up there quite high, and they're probably a couple of the hardest working people I know. Every time they have a days off scrims, they ask to sub for other teams for scrims, because they would, matchmaking is one thing, and you can develop aim, and look, you can probably develop somewhat positioning, maybe not the greatest. You develop worse habits in matchmaking in compared to team play, because your goal is to win a team objective of contenders or of the NALCS. So it's like,
it's true.
Look, you're right. There's going to be a point where they're going to tell them no more scrims, because mentally you're cooked. Because you can't do it anymore. You're cooked. But
one full way to put it, but yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, if they're then going to go away and play ranked level gameplay and maintain their the number one position, they're not taking that relaxed. Like, no pro that I know in Grandmasters or Top 500 or Challenger or will ever take a matchmaking game as a light piece of cake. Because there's a reason they're up there. And they're up there because every time they jump on, they focus, and every time they jump on, they're trying to win that game. Like, you watch if you actually go and watch a pro play, and this goes to like pretty much any game. Ninja is a real good example. He is always the most funny, like, loving, carefree dude until he's in a position that he shouldn't be, and all of a sudden he goes quiet and he's like, you know what I mean? Like, he's making sure he's about to mess up 4 people around him.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to lose. And he switches on. And that's exactly what happens. Like League of Legends, like League of Legends, Afro Move, Double Lift, Overwatch. Maybe not Defran anymore if he's still playing that. But you watch those top tier guys, they will be kind of happy-go-lucky until things start to look bad, and then they switch on. And so they're not really resting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think, look, if that's what they're doing anyway, and you're scrimming like that much work and putting that much effort in, I think you just come out on top. And especially if you talk about our region, dude. Like, people don't get paid enough to do this full time.
Yeah.
People basically get paid. People basically put in anywhere between 12 and I'd say like maybe 25 to 30, maybe the top tier teams are doing hours a week for, you know, not the same amount of money back for the work they put in.
Yeah. That being said as well, you know, sure, there's not like a lot of money, especially in the OCE scene. But if you want to be able
to fair,
compete like on a world class level, you know, to the same kind of level as Overwatch League, or you know, if you're playing League of Legends, to same kind of level as Korea or China, or you know, I don't really follow too much. I don't know what region's the best anymore. I'm assuming it's Korea, but
yeah,
you know, you see people putting in 12 hours, 14 hours every single day into the game. You got to say to yourself, well, if you're not going to be putting in those hours, then you're probably never going to get as good as them. Just plain and simple.
Well, yeah.
And like at the moment, you know, we have contenders, levels teams, whatever, putting in 4 hours of scrims a day. Whereas there might be Korean teams or Overwatch League teams putting in 10 hours a day.
Easily.
And that 6 hour difference is literally the difference between you and them. And if you're not willing to actually put in that much effort, you're never going to get to that level. And that's something you need to look at as well. You decide, okay, am I willing to do this? Am I willing to put in this much effort to get to this kind of skill level? And if the answer is yes, then you need to be doing those hours and putting in the effort while you're doing those hours. And you will see results. You will, 100%. But you can never expect to compete at a world-class level without putting in the hours and effort. And that's pretty much why the OCE scene doesn't really do too well in pretty much any esport, is because there's not really enough money to back up those hours. But if people really wanted to put in the time, they could. But obviously, some people say, well, the money's not there, so it's not worth it. Like for some people, it has to be worth more than money, essentially.
I agree.
And if you ever want to be earning that kind of money, the same kind of money that other regions are earning, then you need to put in just as much effort. So I'll just say that. But
100%. And if I'm going to take like a negative Nelly side, the first thing I want to say is
if you
positive Pete. I'll say a positive Pete, and then I'll say a negative Nelly.
Yeah, go for it.
Positive Pete is like OC is definitely growing. We're definitely getting bigger. Season 1 contenders had no sponsors till the finals, and it had Maccas. The Maccas turned up in Season 2. It's like it stayed there.
Yeah.
OPL, League of Legends, Hungry Jacks, Bombers, you know, Adelaide Crows. People are getting involved. It's starting to like get bigger and bigger, which is great. Negative Nelly is the vicious cycle of players that put in those hours regardless of the money not being there at the moment, then get poached by NA anyway.
Yeah.
So you think of all those great level players of like Custer. I don't have too much knowledge of other. I know there was a Kanga player who went to a pro Paladins team not too long ago. Even our own like Renegade CS:GO team goes and plays in the Asia minors. I don't like they play on more of a world stage rather than local ANZ comp kind of thing. The players and teams will still go where the money is, and they will be poached by people with more money because that's how the world works, kind of thing. Like same as if you were just good at your normal 9 to 5 job. If you are super good at flipping burgers, Macca's is going to try and poach you from Hungry Jack's. You know what I mean? If you're great at fixing cars.
That specific example, but
oh my god! All right,
I'm just going to say that. All right.
I'll give you another one.
Go on.
If you're a mechanic and you're really good at fixing cars, the mechanic next door will pay you $5 extra to come work for him. You know what I mean? It's just what will happen. Like if you're talented, you'll get paid. Hardworking, you'll get paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
You just gotta make sure you do it. As a player, that's great. You get to travel, get to go do what you want. As owners, it's a bit worrying because and coaches as well. Like you put a lot of effort into these kids that are talented and want to be at that top, and they're really easy to coach. Really smooth ride. Tell them anything, they take it on board. They start doing it as fast as they can. They go away after training. They grind that out. You're right, bud.
I think something just flew into my eye, but yeah, alright, whatever. Let's go.
Good luck. And it's, the worry is always there that I'm going to coach this, I'm going to put a lot of effort into this person, and then the next season's going to roll around, they're not going to be there anymore. Because which is great for them, it kind of sucks for, the coaches and the teams, and, even organizations coming through open division, like great example is like maybe not Surge because they got all their players on contracts before they went down there, but like us in particular, when we thought we were going to be relegated 100%, we were, all of our players all of a sudden got all these trials, and that's going to be the same. If Dignity, for example, same players started off in open div. Those players are contenders level players. They're going to get poached. You know what I mean? It's how it works, kind of thing.
You put in the effort, you will get noticed.
100%. So that's awesome for players. A little bit hard for coaches and particular teams and stuff like that. But that's the way the world goes around. You got to try and build a place where players want to come play. Hopefully, that's what we're doing.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
I hope when people play under our name, they actually enjoy playing for us. They enjoy the community and they enjoy us as owners and coaches as well.
Yeah.
I
hope. We'll find out. Give them those old... What do they make you do at work? At like jobs? Give you the exit assessment or something? So you got to fill out why you left, why you're happy.
Oh, God.
Oh, mate, I've quit too many jobs. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that.
Not familiar. You hold a stable 9 to 5, mate. You're fine.
I've left one job, but never again am I going back to anything like that.
Yeah,
Never.
Fair enough. Ever. Never. You got to tell us where it was. No, keep them safe. Fair enough.
It's in retail. Let's just say that.
Oh, God. People in retail, man. If we're gonna, I'm assuming we're gonna end on this anyway. Because it's...
Yeah, it's close to an hour now.
Yeah.
That it's been going on.
This has nothing to do with esports. This is just like a public service announcement before we go. If you're in retail, in fact, if you've never been in retail, and you yell at someone behind the counter, they literally don't care. Don't yell at them. The nicer you are, the more they want to help you.
Exactly.
If you've just yelled at someone, not only have you just pissed them off, ruined their day a little bit, you've also ruined it for everyone that comes after you. Because now they don't want to help anyone. They just want to go on lunch. They just want to go to Macca's. They don't care anymore. Like,
pretty
don't...
true.
Like, if you actually want help, you can be nice and be pushy at the same time. Like, you can sit there and be like, look, I'm not gonna move until this is done because I know this is right, and I need my pants changed because they're the wrong size.
I love we're
That's all I
ending on
want.
this. I love we're ending on this.
Like, oh man, I just know the feels. Like, I get you. I'm I'm with you guys.
From esports to retail.
Welcome to the PIXL podcast, dudes.
Yeah, absolutely love it.
Episode 2. That's the end of it. That's where the good stuff is. That's where the good stuff is.
Definitely.
If one thing I will say though, if you guys have like things that you guys don't agree with us on, or things you want us to like kind of answer or cover, or just general things, like, I mean, we'll try and come up with an idea each week, but if you happen to come up with something great, like, put it down in the comments, which we read.
Definitely.
So thank you Thomas / Virginia for the last one. But you know, like, we will use that idea if we think it's good.
Yeah.
100%, and we'll give you credit for it. I'm not going to pay you for it, but I'll give you credit.
Can't afford to pay for it, so
can't afford, mate. Clearly don't work in retail anymore.
Yeah.
Alrighty, man. Well, that's, again, thank you for watching the PIXL podcast.
Make sure to follow us on Twitter and subscribe. Do that, thanks.
Please, that would be awesome. Let us know we're doing the right thing.
Yeah. What else? Anything else?
No, man. No, I'm all good. I got nothing else. I'm just enjoying doing it with you.
Yeah, same. Just
That's
make
for
sure
sure.
you guys keep up to date with what we're doing. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, hit us up on Twitter. We'll send you a message back. And yeah, I think
Absolutely.
we'll end it there, I think.
It's easy. See you later, guys.
All right, peace out, guys. Thank you.